For the second time this month, Venezuela's opposition majority leader Juan Guaido was obliged to improvise a parliamentary chamber in a remote auditorium. Hours earlier, armed groups loyal to the government had prevented opposition lawmakers from approaching the National Assembly, firing weapons and using a crowbar to attack one of their vehicles.
Some deputies managed to pass police barriers and were brutally ambushed. They have taken over the palace militarily and parliamentarily with groups armed by the dictatorship.
Heavily armed security forces had already surrounded the legislative palace, where Guaido had planned to convene parliament. Meanwhile, government strongman Diosdado Cabello arrived to chair the Constituent Assembly, a rival legislative superbody created by President Nicolas Maduro that operates from the same building. He told Al Jazeera the opposition didn't have anything more to do in parliament.
In fact, it's not clear whether the mainstream opposition will ever be able to hold another session here in the Legislative Palace again. The government strategy seems to be to occupy this area permanently.
The next step will likely be to allow the Supreme Court, controlled by Maduro loyalists, to appoint a new electoral council.
It's not possible to reach an agreement in Parliament. As stipulated in the Constitution, the Supreme Court has the right to declare a legislative omission and proceed to make the appointments.
Last January, the United States and more than 50 other countries recognized Guaido, the President of Parliament, as the country's interim president as well. They argued that Maduro had rigged his 2018 re-election. But a year later, harsh economic and diplomatic sanctions to try to force Maduro to hold new national elections have failed. And it's now Guaido who's on the defensive, as the military-backed government uses all the means at its disposal to isolate a defiant but increasingly powerless opposition. Lucia, Newman, Jazeera, Caracas.